Before we dive in, if you love epic tales of war, strategy, hit that subscribe and like button, turn on notifications, and join our growing legion of warriors. Now, let's begin. Imagine a universe teetering on the edge of oblivion. The stars burn bright, but something darker lurks in the void between them. For centuries, the galactic civilizations flourished under a fragile truce, a balance of power held together by mutual fear. The mighty Zilari Dominion, the ancient Yavath hierarchy, and the enigmatic Vakar enclave all agreed on one thing: humanity must never be allowed to rise. At first, the humans were dismissed as primitive, a species still shackled to their homeworld, fighting among themselves, too busy warring over borders and resources to even glimpse the greater cosmos. But then, everything changed. They broke the light barrier. They spread like wildfire across their solar system. Mars was colonized, Titan was tamed, and by the time their first interstellar fleet emerged from Sol's gravity well, the aliens realized their mistake. Humanity wasn't just another upstart species. They were a threat. The first strike was silent, invisible. Earth's deep space relays went dark in an instant, entire colonies vanishing without a trace. No warnings, no demands. Just silence. The Galactic Council, a coalition of ancient empires, had passed the Silent War Doctrine, a decision to exterminate humanity before they became unstoppable. But the aliens had underestimated one thing. Humanity's greatest strength was never its technology. It was its ability to adapt. When the colonies went dark, Earth didn't panic. They prepared. The United Terran Federation, an alliance of every human nation and colony, declared a single unifying objective: survival. They called it the Orion Protocol. No more treaties, no more diplomacy. If the universe wanted humanity dead, then humanity would give them war. And so, the Silent War ended. The real war was about to begin. The Galactic Council had assumed their plan was flawless. Their strategy was simple: strike humanity before they had time to react. Wipe out their colonies, isolate their homeworld, and let time do the rest. They believed humanity was fragile, that without their outer worlds, Earth would collapse under its own weight. They were wrong. The Orion Protocol wasn't just a plan. It was a declaration of vengeance. Every nation, every faction, every scattered survivor of the Silent War came together under one banner. The United Terran Federation transformed overnight into a war machine. Civilian industries shifted to full-scale arms production. Shipyards that once built exploratory vessels now churned out warships by the hundreds. The Terran Navy, once a fledgling force, became the hammer of humanity. But the true brilliance of humanity wasn't in their weapons. It was in their minds. The aliens had spent millennia refining their tactics, waging wars like slow-moving chess matches, where the most patient species won. Humanity didn't play by those rules. They fought like cornered animals, striking fast, hitting hard, and never letting up. The first counterattack came swift and brutal. A forgotten Terran research station, hidden in the rings of Saturn, had developed something the aliens never anticipated: stealth technology. Not cloaking, not invisibility, but a revolutionary method of light bending and signal masking that rendered human warships undetectable to alien sensors. The aliens had assumed that by cutting off humanity's communications, they had blinded them. Instead, they had given them the perfect excuse to unleash the deadliest hunters the galaxy had ever seen. The first target was simple: the Yavath hierarchy's forward command station orbiting the gas giant Xenthos. A massive station, shielded by an armada of warships, unbreakable by conventional means. The Council believed it was untouchable. Then, the black ships arrived. No warning. No long-range sensors detecting them. One moment, the station was secure. The next, its defense grid was torn apart in a storm of kinetic rounds, railgun slugs, and electromagnetic pulses that left the Yavath forces blind. Terran Marines, clad in next-generation power armor, breached the station, eliminating every alien officer in less than an hour. The few survivors who escaped fled in terror, spreading only one message across the stars: the humans are here. The war had begun, and for the first time in galactic history, the Council was afraid. panic rippled through the Galactic Council. The Yivath hierarchy, once arrogant in their supremacy, now faced an enemy that struck without warning and vanished, like ghosts. The Zalari Dominion, famed for their brutal efficiency, had never seen warfare like this: fast, unpredictable, relentless. The Council had expected a slow, methodical extermination of humanity. Instead, they had woken a storm. Desperate, the Council convened an emergency session. Their solution? Overwhelm humanity with sheer numbers. If human warships struck from the shadows, then the Council would drown them in firepower. They called it Operation Extinguish, a full-scale invasion of the Sol system. 5 armadas, each belonging to a different Council species, assembled at the edge of human space. Their strategy was simple: strike Earth with overwhelming force, cripple the Terran military, and shatter humanity's will to fight. The invasion fleet, over 20,000 warships strong, advanced towards Sol with ruthless precision. But as they approached, something strange happened. Their long-range sensors, so advanced they could track a single asteroid across star systems, detected nothing. No defense grid, no fleet formations, no planetary shields. It was as if Earth had already fallen. The Council forces advanced cautiously, expecting resistance, but none came. And that was their mistake. The moment the first warship crossed into the Sol system, the trap was sprung. Humanity had spent decades studying the Council's tactics, but the Council had never studied humanity's. They assumed a conventional battle, a war of fleets clashing in open space. Instead, they got total war. The sky above Neptune ignited first. Thousands of hidden railgun platforms, buried within the planet's icy rings, activated simultaneously. Hypervelocity slugs, moving at near-relativistic speeds, shattered hundreds of alien warships before they even knew they were under attack. Then came the mines. Fields of automated drones, lying dormant in the void, sprang to life, detonating in devastating antimatter bursts that tore through the alien formation like wildfire. By the time the Council fleet reached Mars, they had already lost nearly a third of their forces. But the worst was yet to come, because Earth was gone. Or at least, that's what the aliens thought. Their sensors showed an empty world, lifeless and cold. No transmissions, no human presence. It was an eerie, impossible sight. And then, the Terran fleet arrived. They didn't come from Earth. They came from beyond, from hidden shipyards on the moons of Jupiter, from military bases buried in the ice of Europa, from war factories deep within the crust of Titan. The entire Sol system had become one massive fortress. Human warships, sleek, black, bristling with weapons the Council had never seen, descended upon the invaders like avenging specters. Ships with electromagnetic shielding, impervious to energy weapons. Plasma torpedoes that burned through hulls like paper. Hacked Council AI systems, turning alien warships against each other. It was a massacre. By the time the battle ended, less than 5% of the Council's fleet remained. Those who survived fled back to their homeworlds, carrying a message of horror. Earth is not a planet. Earth is a trap. But humanity was far from finished. The war had only just begun. The destruction of the invasion fleet sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Council had expected an easy victory, an extermination campaign that would erase humanity from existence. Instead, they had suffered the worst military disaster in recorded history. A force of 20,000 ships, built over centuries, was annihilated in mere days. Panic consumed the Galactic Council. The Zalari Dominion's warlords bickered over their next move. The Yivath hierarchy withdrew into their fortified core worlds, and the Vakar Enclave, the most secretive of the major powers, simply vanished from known space. The great empires had built their civilizations on dominance, believing themselves untouchable. But now, their illusion of superiority was shattered, and humanity wasn't stopping. With the Sol system secured, the United Terran Federation turned its gaze outward. Humanity's first war was not one of survival anymore. It was a war of vengeance. They had learned the truth. The Silent War wasn't just a strategy to weaken them. The Council had been erasing entire species for thousands of years. Dozens of civilizations, once teeming with life, had been snuffed out before they could rise. Humanity was simply the latest target in a long history of genocide. The Federation made a decision: no more. Operation Reclamation was launched. Humanity wouldn't just defend itself. They would liberate every species the Council had oppressed. The first target? The Scalith Protectorate. For centuries, the Scalith had been the Council's slaves. Once a proud warrior race, now reduced to nothing more than cannon fodder for their overlords. Their homeworld, Skal, had been stripped of its resources, its people forced to serve in the Council's military as expendable shock troops. The Council assumed the Scalith would die for them without question. They assumed wrong. When the first human fleets arrived in Scalith space, they didn't come as conquerors. They came as allies. Instead of orbital bombardment, they broadcast a single message across all channels: rise. And the Scalith did. The slave garrisons turned on their masters overnight. Scalith warriors, once forced to fight for the Council, now fought against them, using weapons supplied by their new human allies. The Federation's fleet struck fast and hard, disabling planetary defenses, jamming Council reinforcements, and turning the skies into a killing ground for any ship that dared oppose them. The Council lost an entire sector in a single week. Other, oppressed species saw what had happened and began to question everything. If humanity could defy the Council, why couldn't they? Revolts broke out across the galaxy. Civil unrest became full-scale rebellion. The Council, for the first time in 10,000 years, was losing control. And the worst part? Humanity was just getting started. The Galactic Council was crumbling. Civilizations that had once feared their rule were now rising against them, emboldened by humanity's victories. The Scalith Protectorate was only the beginning. One by one, the Council's puppet states fell, their people throwing off the chains of servitude. The once mighty empire that had ruled for millennia now faced an unstoppable storm of rebellion. But as humanity's influence spread, something strange began to happen. Ancient ruins, forgotten by time, buried beneath the sands of long-dead worlds, began to awaken. Deep space signals, lost in the cosmic void, flickered back to life. Something was stirring in the darkness. Humanity had believed that the Council was the ultimate evil in the galaxy, that they had orchestrated the silent war, exterminating species before they could become a threat. But they were wrong. The Council had never been the architects of this strategy. They were merely its enforcers. Buried in the archives of the Yvath hierarchy was a secret known only to the highest-ranking members of the Council. The silent war was not their choice. It was a law imposed upon them by an even older force, one that had vanished from history yet still watched from the shadows. They were known by many names: the Architects, the Precursors, the Forgotten. But the true name of this ancient race had long been erased from the stars, and they were still here. For eons, they had hidden in the void between galaxies, monitoring the rise and fall of civilizations, ensuring no species ever grew powerful enough to challenge them. The Galactic Council had merely been their instrument, their enforcers, tasked with keeping the younger races in check. But now, humanity had broken the cycle. By surviving the silent war, by toppling the Council's rule, by uniting the species of the galaxy, they had triggered something irreversible. The Architects had awoken, and they were coming. Their first message arrived in the form of a gravitational anomaly, an impossible event occurring at the edge of known space. A star collapsed without cause, forming a black hole where none should exist. Then came the second sign: entire Council-controlled worlds vanishing overnight, erased as if they had never been. No debris, no survivors, just absence. Then the final message, a transmission, broadcast across every known frequency, in every language, with only 3 words: you were warned. And just like that, the war changed. Humanity had believed they were fighting for their future. Now, they realized, they were fighting for the fate of the entire galaxy. The real enemy had finally arrived. The galaxy trembled. The Architects had returned. Their arrival was not marked by armadas or planetary invasions, but by the slow, methodical erasure of existence itself. Stars flickered out of the sky. Planets were unmade, entire systems disappearing as if they had never been. Unlike the Galactic Council, who sought control through fear and manipulation, the architects had a far simpler method of ensuring dominance: annihilation. For the first time in history, humanity was not the predator, but the prey. The United Terran Federation scrambled to comprehend what they were facing. Their scientists, their greatest minds, analyzed the data from the vanished worlds, searching for patterns, weaknesses, anything. But there was nothing to analyze. The enemy did not attack in conventional ways. No fleet movements, no weapons signatures, just cold, unrelenting extinction. And then, without warning, they finally showed themselves. Near the galactic core, a massive gravitational disturbance was detected. What emerged from it defied all logic. It was not a ship. It was not a fleet. It was a construct the size of a solar system. A machine world of impossible scale, its very existence bending the laws of physics. It moved through space with no propulsion, no energy emissions, yet entire planets crumbled in its wake, as if reality itself was rejecting them. It was not a weapon. It was something far worse. It was a reset switch. The architects had not come to fight. They had come to erase. The Council had known. They had always known. That was why they followed the silent war. Why they wiped out rising species before they became a threat. Not because they feared them, but because they feared what would come next. The architect's judgment was absolute. Once a species reached a certain threshold of power, they would be deemed a threat to the balance, and they would be erased. Not conquered, not enslaved, deleted. But humanity? Humanity was different. For the first time in recorded history, a species had resisted. Not just against the Council, but against the very law of the galaxy itself. And so, the architects spoke. Not with words, but with a single, terrifying thought. A message implanted into the minds of every living being across the stars, carrying a truth so profound that it shattered the minds of lesser species. You are not meant to be. The galaxy fell silent, and then the war truly began. Shall I continue? You said, yes. ChatGPT said, Section 7, Humanity's Defiance. The message echoed through the void, pressing into the minds of every sentient being like an undeniable truth. You are not meant to be. The architects did not threaten. They did not negotiate. They had passed their judgment and now they would execute it. But humanity refused to die. From the ruins of fallen civilizations, from the depths of the void, from every world that had ever been crushed under the weight of the architect's law, humanity stood defiant. The Federation wasted no time. Their fleets, mobilized not in defense, but in offense. Every strategy ever conceived, every war ever fought, every ounce of human ingenuity was now focused on one singular purpose: survival. And they would not fight alone. The Skal'ith, the Yvath defectors, the Vakar engineers. Dozens of species that humanity had freed from the Council's grip rallied under the same banner. It was no longer about revenge, no longer about rebellion. This was about the right to exist. But as fleets clashed across the stars, as weapons of unimaginable power were unleashed, humanity faced a chilling reality. Conventional war meant nothing. The architects did not fight with ships or armies. They wielded the fundamental forces of the universe itself. Entire star systems were collapsed into singularities before human fleets could even engage. Quantum distortions rendered entire battle formations non-existent, as if they had never been there at all. The Federation's greatest weapons, their most devastating technologies, had no effect. How do you fight an enemy that can erase you from reality? For the first time since the war began, humanity knew fear. Then came the second message: surrender your existence. The architects were offering an ultimatum: cease all resistance, allow themselves to be erased peacefully, or suffer a fate far worse. The Council's remaining leaders, broken and desperate, begged the Federation to surrender. They had seen this before. There was no winning. The architects had judged thousands of civilizations before, and none had ever survived. But humanity was not any other species. And so, the Federation sent their own message. Broadcasted across every channel, across every frequency, in every language, their answer was simple: Come and take it. And with those 4 words, the fate of the galaxy was sealed. The final war had begun. The galaxy held its breath. The architects, an ancient force of cosmic judgment, had never faced defiance. Never before had a species refused their decree. Humanity's answer, come and take it, was not just an act of rebellion. It was a declaration of war against the gods themselves. And so the architects came. Their construct, the Unmaker, moved through space without propulsion, without warning. It did not obey the laws of physics because it was not bound by them. To fight it was to battle the universe itself. But humanity had always fought impossible wars, and won. The Federation's greatest minds worked tirelessly to decipher the nature of their enemy. The Unmaker did not destroy in the way conventional weapons did. It removed. Time, space, matter, everything it touched simply ceased to be. It was deletion incarnate. But then, humanity found something. Buried deep in the forgotten archives of the Yivath hierarchy, within ancient records even the Council had feared to access, was a name. A warning. A secret that had been erased from history itself. The architects were not gods, they were engineers. And the Unmaker? It was not their weapon. It was their failsafe. A system designed to purge advanced civilizations when they reached a certain point. The architects had not ruled the galaxy for millions of years. They had simply automated its destruction. The Unmaker was not a living force. It was a machine, and that meant it could be hacked. With this knowledge, humanity formulated their final, desperate plan. A fleet of 1,000 ships, led by Earth's most advanced AI-controlled warships, would pierce through the Unmaker's defenses and attempt to infiltrate its core, a mission with no guarantee of return. As the battle began, the galaxy burned. The Unmaker unleashed its full power. Planets disappeared in an instant. Stars collapsed into nothing. Entire fleets, billions of lives were erased. But the human fleet kept moving. Through the chaos, through the impossible. They reached the core, a place that should not exist. A structure beyond comprehension, made of shifting material that flickered between dimensions. And there, at its heart, they found it. The source code. The Federation's top cybernetic specialists uploaded an override. Command that no being in history had ever dared attempt. A single word. Stop. And in that instant, the war ended. The Unmaker froze. The gravitational distortions ceased. The stars that had been flickering out returned. For the first time in untold millennia, the architect's judgment was denied. The galaxy was free. But what about the architects themselves? With their fail-safe disabled, their power shattered, they had no control left. They did not beg. They did not retaliate. They simply vanished. Some say they fled to the void beyond galaxies, where no light will ever reach them. Others believe they still watch, waiting for the day they can reclaim their dominion. But humanity? Humanity had won, and, from the ruins of war, from the ashes of fallen civilizations, a new empire was born. An empire of all species, united under a single truth. No gods, no masters, no more silent war. The galaxy belonged to those who dared to fight for it, and humanity would fight forever.